Akiko Bono. She's one of the member of the governing body of the ILO, International Labour Organization, which is a very unique structure where the representatives of the employer and the unions enjoy the equal status in any decision-making body equal with the government. And next one, Mr. Ruben Wagman. He is a policy officer of the Union to Union. He's from Sweden. Right? Okay. The last one is Sister Annie Gero. He's a here, she represents the PSI, Public Service International, Global Union Federation, which is a strong cooperation with the ITUC. So floor is yours, so could you start here? But please be reminded, you are kindly requested to limit your initial presentation to 5 minutes.
Slides to before I start, I would like to thank all of you for staying behind. It's Saturday. Annual meeting, and it's the afternoon already, almost the day is ending. And for my colleagues here also in the panel. In the first three slides, you can see the ongoing infrastructure project which is funded by ADB in Himachal in India. And this is our observations at the moment in terms of basic issues around personal protective equipment, for example, number of working hours, and issue around unpaid drinking water, and there is a high from other states working in there, and we kept on hearing time and again that at the moment a policy on we beg to disagree, because even in the documents that we are referred to, for example, they say in the 2009 safeguard policy statement, while there is a section on local level standards, it is something like sprinkled in the document, but not an integral part of our requirement that we will see as Annex 1, 2, and 3 for environment, indigenous people, and environment. A clause on the statement of June 2009. You can see a mention on a fair level standard. We beg to disagree because you can see the components here of social protection. It doesn't mention any of international core level standards. And if you look at the main box too of the current document, you can see these against child labor conventions of the ILO. The Global Union Federation will give them credit because if you look at this provision, you can even imagine that it's very progressive because it says even in the absence of national law, if the law is silent, the client are still required to allow workers to exercise freely the right to self-organization and collective bargaining. They even have, right, similar to SPS, specific performance standard you can see there, labor and working conditions. You can see that acquisition and involuntary resettlement. And if you compare the text, it's more or less the same. Now, look at the current document again of the policy statement. You can see there, no? Consistently, environment, involuntary resettlement, and so on and so forth. So, what should we do? Even in the grievance mechanism, it's a requirement for the performance standard 2. Even in the World Bank project, like what we have, a conflict industrial issue with Tarbela Dam in Pakistan. It's not going well, but at least there is a redress mechanism provided for when our affiliated union can raise the issue that the right of self-organization must be respected because it's a requirement by the loan part of the project. So the classic question is, what is to be done? Perhaps for our allies from the CSO and the trade union delegation here, since we have a dialogue with the president the other day, we will make a very specific follow-up letter to the president, reminding him of his commitment that there will be a consideration to have a level of safeguards in the bank. We also have to play a role in the current review of the draft strategy 2030. If you play words in this document, you can find workers of about 33 page document, maybe 2,000 words of this current draft. If you find workers, you can have 4 hits. If you find unions, 0. If you look for trade union rights, 0. If you look for ILO term in the document, 0. 33 documents, current draft, 2030 strategy, 0 on international labor standards. So really among us, together with our allies in the CSO, we can do a right job and come up with a specific recommendation of having Annex 4 in the SPS, and we can submit it together with the colleagues like Ben and our comrades in Australia or the country governors and so on. And hopefully when we see you in Fiji next year, it's already embedded as part of the bank operational policy. I'm very optimistic, Brother Soya. Thanks for the attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Soya. I got 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, okay. In 5 minutes, I just want to make sure that the Public Services International critique about public-private partnership is not misunderstood. And this is the PPPs that we are talking about and that we are very critical about. It's a contract between government and private company, which a private company finances, builds, and operates some elements of public service, and that the private company gets paid over a number of years, either through charges paid by users, often called concession, or by payments from public authority, or a combination of both. This is the kind of PPP that originated as an accounting trick, a way around the government's own constraint on public borrowing, why it remains an overwhelming attraction for many governments and international institutions. President Nakao, in the dialogue with the civil society organization last Wednesday, said, when asked about PPP, that PPP is not a panacea, that it should be used appropriately. And I also hear the same message echoed by some of the DGs that, PPP doesn't always work in many instances. So it's not something that one solution or fits for all solution. So I appreciate that. I welcome that recognition of the ADB, even if the ADB strategy paper in 2012 emphasizes the promotion of PPPs in all ADB's core operation and explicitly links it to the strategies of other global institutions. The bank lending reached nearly 7 billion to subsidize, support, and promote PPPs across a number of countries. As an example, 700 million loan was agreed in 2013 to help India provide public finances for PPPs. Now, the PSI has come up with a research, in-depth research and the report, why public-private partnership do not work. This is a culmination of our 30 years experience with an assessment of privatization in countries both rich and poor. It demystifies the shadowy PPP processes. There are no public consultation, lots of false promises, and incredibly complex contract, all designed to protect corporate profits. There is also a fair amount of documented bribery, as privatization contracts can extremely be very valuable. I'll skip that. Now, we have repeatedly in PSI raised the red flags. In fact, we have marked the no crossing line, if you like, but we're not coming to ADB engagement without solution, without alternative, and we are offering the public-public partnership. The reason being that we believe well-structured and funded public services respond more efficiently to public interest outcomes than private models. PUPs, we call it, PUPs, can help a range of state-run services exchange knowledge and support for further efficiency and gains. We're offering this alternative because the evidences from international experiences and studies of PPPs can be summarized as follows. The cost capital is always cheaper without a PPP. The cost of construction is higher under PPP because the financier require a turnkey contract, which is about 25% more expensive. The private sector is not more efficient in operation, and the public sector has the advantage of greater flexibility. Also, we found out that the transaction costs of tendering and monitoring PPPs add 10 to 20% to their costs. The public sector faces real risks from PPPs, including incomplete contracts, the likelihood of renegotiation, and the potential public liabilities in case of bankruptcy or default by the private company. There are also negative impacts on public services, the environment, and workers from cost-cutting or from distorted selection of projects to suit the need for profitability in PPPs. Here are some of the key points of our public alternative. It should be looked into not only the PPPs, but also the PUPs, because government and local governments can continue to develop infrastructure by using public finance for investment. The public sector can raise long-term, cheap finance at lower interest rates and over far longer time periods than could any private company by using tax revenues, user charges, and so on. The public sector also gains greater flexibility, control, and comparative efficiency, not to mention a more democratic accountability. By using direct employees also, the study showed that to operate and maintain system and provide services while procuring other goods and services from contractors, governments and local governments have long-term capacity to plan, deliver infrastructure services. And then there's the creation and maintenance of public sector workforce creates a pool of decent formal jobs as an alternative to the precarious employment, which is increasingly characteristic of the private sector, especially in the contracting industry. I think I could say more, but I'll stop here in the interest of time.
Thank you very much, Ali, for the applause given.
Thank you. I would like to echo the same kind of emphasis for the labor, because also I represent workers group in ILO. And in ILO workers group, especially in Asia Pacific region, we always emphasize that ratification of ILO convention is very important. And Soya said that the rate of ratification is very low here in this region. And also social dialogue, also I think which is essential for the ADB project, is lacking in this region. So these are the main emphasis that we would like to be implemented. And ILO upholding social justice as its mandate will celebrate its centenary anniversary next year. And to achieve the mandate, decent work for all is essential and key factor. But even after almost a century, and in spite of all efforts, made by all the stakeholders, including ADB and GUM and ILO. Unfortunately, the situation of workers has not improved. The ILO Workers Group, our biggest priority is registration, as I said. And also, but unfortunately, and in our region, 14 out of 47 member states have ratified all the conventions in 2016. Also, let me remind you that even after the ratification of the convention, its full implementation, which ADB should also promote, is a huge challenge, as all you are facing and that all you are experiencing. And there are many violations of the conventions in this region. And I would like to commend ADB's work for poverty reduction and economic growth in this region, which has succeeded to some extent. Also, we appreciate that ADB gives importance of labor aspect in achieving economic success, which is shown in Handbooks on Strategy 2030, Social Protection, and the Poor Labor Standards published by ADB. There are so many wordings, and also ADB is kind enough to also express the importance of the labor aspects, but it's not enough, unfortunately. We strongly believe that for workers to ensure fair share of economic growth, sound industry relations, and the existence of trade unions or workers' representatives to negotiate for fair working conditions and promotion of the ratification of the ILO Labor Convention are essential. In this sense, it is regrettable to note that ADB seems not to encourage the ratification of convention. As it said in its report on social protection in 2003, which I quote, with regard to the poor labor standards, no explicit ratification is needed to be part of the framework of a country, end quote. We give importance on the ratification. Since the ratification process, the legislation concerned should be amended for better to comply with the conventions, and also not only that, at the same time, by ratification, the government shows to the world their readiness and commitment to safeguard basic workers' rights. And it makes easier for us, also labor groups, or ILO, also GUM groups, and other NGO, civil societies, to monitor the situation. So we feel that it is very, very important to ratify the conventions. And also, I would like to emphasize that ILO core labor standards are the minimum standards to be respected. If the standard of the national law is lower than that, law should be improved to meet the standard. Sometimes companies try to exploit the situation and apply the law which is lower than the international standard. In this regard, I have reservation of also again ADB's view in Strategy 2030, which it said ADB will increase the use of country systems, including social safeguard. As you know, social safeguard, which I believe including poor labor standards, vary country by country. And in Asia, there are many countries where social protection is far from enough. If ADB uses a country safeguard system, which is lower than the international labor standards, it will be very harmful to workers. So for social safeguard, either country system or international standards set by ILO, which is higher, should be applied. In Philadelphia Declaration, it said that poverty anywhere constitutes a danger to prosperity anywhere. I think almost all of you know of this word. However, in this region, Gini coefficient has risen in our region from 36 in 1990 to 40 in 2013. The gap between rich and poor has been expanding. Though we strongly believe that labor costs should not be the factor of competitiveness of companies, globalization makes it easier for multinational companies to transfer production places seeking most cheap labor. As a result, suppliers and subsidiary companies are forced to squeeze labor costs, ignoring fundamental labor rights in the health and safety aspect. Sometimes this causes tragedy, such as Rana Plaza accident in Bangladesh in 2013, claiming more than 1,100 government works lives. This as well for all pursued by law is in line with ADB's vision for Asian and Pacific in Strategy 27.
It's a project case. It's a old hydropower project called Namrak 1. Many of you have probably heard it. It's in Lao PDR. It's a 250 megawatt hydropower project. And an incident happened last year in this project. And the forum, through its member and partner organizations and allies, learned that a few people died. A few people died, and they were workers and they were working in this project. So we wrote a letter to Private Sector Operations Department because there was a non-sovereign loan. So I'm going to read you out the reply back from Private Sector Operations Department. Summary of the incident response. Obviously, they thanked us for the letter and all of that. The incident at the Namyak 1 hydropower project occurred at 9:50 p.m. hours on Friday, 28 July 2017. The incident involved 13 Vietnamese nationals from Songda 5, one of the main civil subcontractors of the project employed by Kobayashi Corporation. Investigations concluded that 2 workers were manually carrying an oxygen cylinder when it was dropped or otherwise ruptured, causing a subsequent explosion. 6 workers died. 2 workers were treated in hospital for non-life-threatening injuries, and an additional 5 workers received treatment for less serious injuries in the days after the event. Then there is an entire paragraph about what happened after the incident and how they try to help people and get them to hospital, provide immediate response and counseling. So I'll read you the second part of the letter when ADB finally responds. So the ADB mission. ADB fielded a mission to the NN1PC construction site 26 to 27 September 2017, 60 days after the explosion. 60 days. ADB staff attended one PC health and safety briefing held on 27 September 2017, which included a discussion of the incident, site investigations, and outcomes. The briefing included a review of health and safety reporting, monitoring procedures, and incident statistics in a the corrective action plan. ADB confirms that all proposed actions have been implemented with relevant evidence provided by NN1PC where applicable. The mission also verified that the new cylinder transport measures are being employed on the site by workers. Outcomes. ADB is satisfied that NN1PC, its contractors, and subcontractors are committed to adherence to ADB safeguards policies and core labor standards in its operations. This has been demonstrated by the implementation of occupational health and safety and core labor standards on site, including a high standard of health and safety management and reporting. While the incident is deeply regrettable, a thorough investigation has been undertaken by both the Lao PDR authorities, the contractor and site owner, and appropriate remedial actions have been put in place to prevent the incident from recurring. Sincerely, PSOD. So that's how policies like that get implemented when they're not binding, when there is no real binding requirement for the bank to deliver. So if they don't deliver, there is no case of non-compliance. So if there's no case of non-compliance, there's no accountability. So it depends on a few select individuals who care enough to think that they need to go to the ground and see what happens. And how many in this flexible, you have that flexibility to deliver when we don't have the right binding requirement. Okay, so the next case is It's an anonymous letter we received at NGO Forum on ADB office in July 2016. The letter was sent to us by temporary service workers here at the Asian Development Bank. They are on temporary contracts, so the letter is obviously written by a disgruntled employee and cites the fact that their temporary worker status makes them seen and perceived in a lower eye by those who are full-time working in the ADB administration. They are called tempos. So the tempos are hired through a private sector service agency. In this case, there are two. DBC, or the Development Bank of the Philippines, and the other is the Land Bank Corporation of the Philippines. Now, both of these banks' websites give out advertisements for recruitment for these 11-month contracts, which temporary service workers get to enjoy, but they don't get to enjoy all the benefits of the Philippine labor code. Now, if you go to the ADB recruitment website, it does not tell you that DBC and LBC are the service providers through which this is once again public-private partnership for recruitment. If you go to the DBC, they never tell you you're applying for an ADB job. So if you look at this entire institution and all the people that they work here, all the way from the president all the way down, there is a hierarchy. And lower down the food chain are these poor tempo workers. One of the disgruntled tempo workers wrote a blog, and it's in Filipino, and I'm not Filipino and I can't read Filipino. So I'll ask my colleague Anne to share what she said.
Okay, and I quote this is in Taglish, the usual way of Filipino expressing themselves. Ako lang yata ang di naging happy sa working experience sa ADB. Toxic yung department na napuntahan ko. Kung mag-away ang mga ODs, very unprofessional. Away trabaho, nagpe-personalan, and di nahihiya magsigawan. Very distracting. Super discriminated din pakiramdam ko. Closing parenthesis. I was a contractual, by the way. 12:30 lang pwede pumasok sa kantin. Pag may nawala, sa contractual agad ang turo. There was a time na yung pregnant teammate ko, doon sa entrance ng visitors, tinataas yung blouse. Just to make sure na pregnant kami talaga at di nagnakaw ng kung ano. Iyak si office mate noon. Basta ito lang ang napasukan ko na di ako naging happy. Bright side is okay. Talaga tingnan sa resume. End of quote.
So do you want to translate that for the international audience?
Well, probably not a professional interpreter. I'm the only one who seems to be unhappy with unhappy working experience in ADB. The department where I'm working is toxic. They quarrel. When the oldest quarrel, they are very unprofessional. It's job-related conflict, but they take it personally, and they don't get embarrassed shouting at each other. Very distracting, super discriminated. That's how I feel. By the way, I'm a contractual employee. It's only 12:30 where we can enter the canteen. But if there's something missing, they always easily point to us. There was a time when my pregnant teammate was asked to raise the blouse at the entrance of visitor to make sure that she's really pregnant and that she did not steal anything. So she cried. Then they say, this is the only place that I've been employed and I'm not happy. The only bright side is that it looks good in my resume.
So in summary, time's gone. I think the stories are evidence.
Thank you very much, Ryan and Ali, for the information on the decent active system, both in the ADB project and also the ADB headquarters here in Manila. Ruben, so please.
So thank you for inviting me to this important discussion and seminar. As being mentioned, my name is Ruben Borba. I'm a Policy and Program Officer at the organization called Union to Union. And Union to Union is a secular, non-profit solidarity support organization which is based in Stockholm, in Sweden. And we cooperate with the trade unions globally. I would like to start on the positive side a little bit, and saying that we are very positive to the relatively recent decision by the ADB to appoint a special senior specialist for labor standards within the ADB. And we are also very aware of the fact that the ADB repeatedly has expressed its concern regarding core labor standards, and that they also should comply with the core labor standards in all their procedures. However, and there's always a however, by listening to our partners, the global trade union movement and their affiliates, we are very aware of the fact that the trade union movement at the moment, as we have heard here, are very concerned about the implementation, the effective implementation of core labor standards into the procedures of the operations that the ADB has at the moment and lending requirements. And that is the reason why we also urge the ADB to really listen to this and to make sure that they establish a comprehensive labor safeguard that is implemented within the operational policies of the bank, and of course with specific reference to the core labor standards. It should also be included some type of effective enforcement mechanism into this labor safeguard. So, and I think we have heard different kind of reasons to this safeguard and the need for the safeguard, but I would like to bring forward two more. Firstly, I think it's very important when you're having this discussion when it comes to labor rights and trade union rights that we are aware of the context in which we are talking. And several of the panelists here have raised the issue of the region and the problems that we can see when it comes to trade union rights and human rights at work within this region. And coming from an organization that has been conducting trade union cooperation with local partners here in Asia for more than 40 years, I think it is crucial that we take the situation in the region into account. And as many of you are aware of, I'm sure there are a number of countries within this region that actually undermine trade union rights by new laws and new legislation. There are also the fact there are countries where implementation of existing laws is also really substandard. And the point that I wish to make by saying this is that I think that the ADB really has a great opportunity at the moment to be in the forefront, to take the responsibility for the core labor standards, and to make sure that they can show other type of actors, such as state or private actors, that it's really important to take the core labor standards into account in all type of operational activities. And I think a step in that direction would be the labor safeguard. And secondly, in many of our discussions that we've been having with our partners, the trade unions at global scale, and also their affiliates and other type of worker organizations that has been affected by ADB activities, they really have found the unions that the documents that the bank many times refer to, the social protection strategy, the implementation of that strategy is actually quite weak at the moment. The implementation is actually quite weak. So it isn't really sufficient. And problems that has been noted within the field of that include, for example, absence of labor participation strategy, non-consultation with the unions, no timely disclosure of relevant information, and no grievance mechanism, and so on. So I think that also points in the direction that we can't just say that the social protection strategy is enough at the moment. So to conclude, that is why Union to Union, together with several of our partners, the global trade union movement, we urge the bank to establish a labor safeguard within the operational policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruben. So sorry to keep you waiting. So floor is yours.
Thank you. My presentation is going to be a little bit on some of the other aspects of decent care, which is really focusing on social protection and some of the emerging challenges here in the region. And Link went to a lot of different. Sorry, I have a soft voice. Just to put it in context and also to relate it back to this overall event that we've been at this week, I hope that I can weave in some of the themes. First is to remind us where we are right now, which is still in implementing the Strategy 2020, and we're moving forward to 2030. Underneath Strategy 2020, there were 3 pillars: environmentally sustainable growth, inclusive economic growth, and regional integration. So all of these were focused on improving productive employment. And also the last one on adequate social protection, really on building up social protection in the region. As we move to 2030, if you read the document, I'm sure you all read the presentation, the #1 operational priority is addressing remaining poverty and reducing inequalities. And underneath that overarching is the goal of strategy of human development and social inclusion. Within that, there are a number of different strategies. One on generating quality jobs, another on improving education and training, achieving better health for all, including health insurance, and ensuring social protection. Our operational plan, since we're all quoting the documents, goes from 2014 to 2020. And in that, it has a number of different strategies. One is to support standalone social protection interventions. These are interventions in social assistance, in pension, and social insurance schemes, including social pensions. Integrating social protection components into selected sectors. So we've had a strong concentration on TVET, on promoting scholarships in education, health insurance, core labor standards in infrastructure projects, but actually in all projects. Strengthen policy and institutional capacity, so to build capacity to integrate social protection into national development plans and improve overall social protection systems. And then support collaborations and partnerships with other entities, UN agencies like ILO and think tanks, and monitor social protection trends in Asia Pacific to collect data, measure, and report on interventions and highlight missed areas. The components of social protection are 3. One is social insurance, which covers pensions, health insurance, and other kinds of insurance like unemployment insurance, disability, maternity benefits, provident funds. The other is social assistance, which is really about social transfers, child welfare programs, health assistance, assistance to elderly people, and disability assistance, and active labor market programs, including things like TVET projects, skills development and training, targeted particularly at unemployed and underemployed. As we have learned over and over again this weekend, or these last couple of days, there's very much a changing landscape in the region and also in the future of work. There are going to be very large technological impacts, technology impacts, big shifts in the workplace, move to gig economy, informalization of formal work, migration, potential for displacement in some areas, widening inequality, and I underline this, persistent informal sector, which is outside of some of what we've been talking about. So there's really a very strong pressure on education sector and on strengthening social safety nets in this region and actually globally. It's a global thing. And to do that, ADB and all the other regional entities have recently also come out with a publication on the future of work, talking about the importance of investing in job readiness and retraining, skills development, retraining, and job transition, strengthening social protection and labor market policies, and creating additional fiscal space. We've been looking a bit at what will be some of the impacts. Many organizations are looking at this because this is really going to change what it is that we've been talking about
the workers that we've been talking about. So one is in terms of job disappearance with the impact of technology. And the work-related social protection issues to that are about passive labor market policies such as unemployment insurance and income replacement, active labor market policies for reinsertion back into the labor market, and retraining for workers to be able to redeploy into the labor market. Job polarization. I think that in several of the presentations they were talking about how some of these impacts will really happen middle class level and not really at the lower income level jobs. So there's a need to pay attention to that within systems development and new programs. Non-standardized forms of employment moving from regular or standard jobs, often of an indefinite duration to that's what I meant by the gig economy and shorter term, more small contract, and also moving across states, working in several, as was the example yesterday in the governor's seminar. So there are critical issues there about maintaining unemployment, health insurance, old age pensions in this very flexible workspace. And then a change in the status of employment from gig or platform economy provides access to labor markets, but it also makes a change in status of employment from wage earners to self-employed. And that's a completely different labor or contract laws resulting in. So these are the kinds of things that are really going to shift very, very quickly. When we look back at some of the work that we do under, and the analytical work under the social protection indicator, it's, as you said, our numbers are a little higher. The coverage of social protection in Asia averaged 55% of the intended beneficiaries. So ADB is doing a lot of work to support governments to develop systems and to expand coverage. We monitor social protection spending, coverage, benefits, distribution impact through the social protection indicator. There's a very good if you're interested. And this is also used to contribute to new policy and program development in the region. We have ongoing technical assistance in the area of strategies for financing social protection to be able to really investigate in depth countries where money can be found to support some of these programs. And also upcoming technical assistance to build DMC capacity and also to increase the pipeline of social protection projects, which is also something that's highlighted in our strategy. And some conclusions from the most recent data that we have are that social assistance, cash transfers, and social pensions cover are expanding in many countries, but active labor market programs remain underfunded across the whole of Asia. And social insurance spending prevails over other programs, but health insurance tracks behind pensions. Many countries have achieved progress in extending social insurance, and social assistance is especially high in countries where broad-based entitlements are. And the key policy goal is to balance the coverage and the benefit levels and really expand impact. Just to highlight a couple of the examples of the types of projects that we're involved in that are trying to create both this productive employment and social protection. One is an example from Bangladesh, the Skills for Employment Investment Program, which looked at enhancing the productivity and employability of the workforce and initiating very large-scale private sector involvement in the training to help scale up new entrants into the workforce, but also to retrain existing workers and to meet the emerging demands of new domestic and overseas markets. So really trying to be very responsive to a wide range of things. In Guangxi in the south of China, we have a TVET project which is trying to develop multi-level TVET to develop higher-level skills demanded by new industries, and including organic industries and technical management skills. They're also trying to pilot a modular curriculum to support school to work, back to school transition to be able to help people as they actually in school education. Industry partnerships, labor market skills demand and supply analysis, and collaboration of both education and the labor bureau's collaboration. This is trying to close the loops. I want to highlight skip the slide, oops. Oh no, we're missing a very important slide. Just a second, it's something I really wanted to highlight.
labor standard.
I'm sorry. Anyway, it's a very interesting project. It's actually knowledge work that's leading also and linking very well to projects. It's called the Smart Grid Technology and Inclusive Development. And this is a partnership that ADB is doing with the Melbourne, University of Melbourne. And it's really also what are the social impacts of that. And they've been doing a very interesting set of conferences around the region. One I was able to go to recently, where they talked about two different things, which I think are important. One is the shift in this from people from being just consumers to becoming both producers of energy and consumers of energy. So really entering into that overall kind of, in a way, the labor market and workforce energy production. And at the same time, the demand for green skills and the linkage to the TVET programs there that are trying to build up capacity and reach both new entrants and to retrain people. Pardon me. That's related to also to the energy, which is doing rooftop solar generation power. And in that project also, which is really just an energy project, they also have a very strong emphasis on localizing the benefits, improvement in livelihoods, and job creation at the sub-project sites. Is there was at the bottom. This one great now. Use life skills and training to get them to enter into the labor market. And related to this was technical assistance program on employment facilitation for inclusive growth, which focused on labor policy analysis, a comprehensive review on regulatory impact assessment and selected provisions in the labor code and other of work going on in other countries on broader social security, some work on pensions. And then just one final example in social assistance. If everybody's here from the Philippines, you know about the CPP program, the Conditional Cash Transfer program, and this is. So looking to the future, it's very clear that it will have profound impacts on workers, employers, sector as well. I think there's very and retraining master plan. Under that is a program called Skill Future. It's an integrated high quality system of education and training that responds to constantly evolving industry needs, but also fosters a culture of lifelong learning. Talked a lot about aging at this conference also. The Department of Older Persons was created in 2015 to deal with the employment of people over the retirement age and related issues. These are the things that are coming down the line. These are the places where we also need to really focus.
Thank you very much, Wendy, for your comprehensive and informative report on the social protection program for the ADB. For a comment from the floor. Would you raise the hand? Yeah. One, two, three. Okay, that's it. So could you start? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So please identify yourself before you speak. So who?
Good afternoon. This is Cristina Martinez. I'm the Senior Specialist for Environment and Decent Work and International Labour Organization. I would like, first of all, to congratulate all of you for excellent points in advice think very important that ADB at the workers' organizations like representatives here have rights. We are at a very important point of the collaboration that Wendy Walker has started to do. ADB labor standards. Things might take some time. The industry labor standards in ADB projects have started. To mention we under her responsibility with a lot of points to accelerate the actions that we started to take. And the actions are very ambitious. Let me be very clear on this. We have a big task ahead of us because the capacity of ADB to impact, make real impact, has been demonstrated, and is going to take the projects to a next level. And I think in this regards, we from the ILO feel privileged to work hand by hand.
Us to come up with this idea.
Okay. I'm Reza Ryan. I'm a representative of Hazara from Australia. I'm not talking on behalf of the Hazara community only from Australia, but actually it's worldwide. We have, I just want to bring and fragility requires special attention. Unfortunately, my background comes from such countries. Afghanistan is currently facing the conflict internally. The problem that I want to raise is a project that ADB is funding in Afghanistan called Tuta. That has raised a lot of concerns, social conflicts in Afghanistan because the Afghan government has rerouted the project and proposed to isolate the central Afghanistan, to isolate actually the Hazaras. Now, it doesn't have any economic justification or any other justifiable reason for the purpose. And but rather than that, already the route that they choose from the other side have already another power line coming from them. So that's what I say. To this, how this nearly similar case happened to Afghanistan regarding the 2000.
How will ADB projects ensure that projects it does not enhance vulnerabilities of people and communities, particularly of the workers in those projects?
For your presentations. My question here is around, as we move towards the fourth industrial revolution with new jobs, what is the role of the private sector we're seeing, and why isn't the private sector here to talk about the role that they play in job creation, decent work, along with trade unions and along with the Asian Development Bank? Ensure that the engine of private growth, who is the engine for job creation, that we ensure that those who are being left behind are not further left behind due to technology. And what role is technology going to play as an enabler for for job creation and job growth, whether it's to be your own boss or to enter the formal sector and become a member of a union as well. But what is the role that we can do now to sort of be provocative and be sort of proactive in that approach? But what do we want to take collectively?
Thank you very much. So first of all, would you like to respond to any of the comment or questions?
So maybe just, well, first to thank Christina for raising the importance of the collaboration that we have, both on the core labor standards and also on the broader social protection to the kinds of issues that I raised. I think it's very important that everybody work together. And secondly, in terms of your comment, completely agree. It's going to take a village to and all stakeholders to really push things forward and everybody to play their part. On our part, we're trying to play a strong role in education with a strong force on gender mainstreaming, on focus on girls, focus on STEM education, focus on scholarships, many different avenues to try to build the enabling environment for them. Thanks.
Thank you, Wendy. So any of us like to make a response to the question?
Direction on the brought about by the Industrial Revolution. A concrete example is our affiliate in Australia, the Electrical Trade Union, together with other unions in Australia. They run their own apprenticeship program to get ready young workers, including women, for example, to be master electricians and the challenge of robotics, semi-automated brick. This is a concrete, as you said, a proactive role that the union can do.
As for the kind of digitization or Industry 4.0, I think this is one of the biggest issues for the future, especially in this region. And also, I think in the report, this topic is dealt. And I think it is most important that to cooperate each other with ILO and all the relevant organizations, including the GUF, should share the knowledge, because there should be a lot of just transition of the workers, especially the young and the women, the youth, and also unskilled workers. And unless we deal with this digitization in a proper manner, there will be a more polarization progress in the future. So this is a very urgent agenda, and I think in this topic especially, the social dialogue within all the stakeholders is most essential.
Okay, thank you very much. But I need to conclude this session. So in doing so, let me say, we do have the policy to respect, realize, and promote the core labor standard of the ILO, but they are still remain to be implemented in a real sense. That's why we still need to work together with the ADB, ILO, and the trade unions and relevant civil societies to realize the
From the panel first. Because we need one.
I think we did all break.